Hey, I'm Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise here for BoardGameGeek, and this is August 2020's Top 10 Hottest Games, based on the titles that are generating the most mojo on the BoardGameGeek website over the past 30 days. Now, these games are tracked on the site's hottest games list, and the higher and longer a game remains on that list throughout the course of the month, higher it ranks in our top 10 overall. Now, 180 games appeared on the hotness over the course of this month, including a game that makes its debut on the countdown all the way up to number 1. Kicking off the countdown this month at spot number 10 is Arkham Horror the card game from Fantasy Flight Games, a living card game of Lovecraftian mystery, monsters, and madness. In the game, the players' choices and their actions have consequences that reach far beyond the immediate resolution of the scenario at hand, and their actions may yield valuable experiences which will better prepare them for the adventures that still lie ahead. Now, during Fantasy Flight's annual in-flight report that streamed on July 29th, they announced 6 Mythos packs for the upcoming Innsmouth Conspiracy Cycle. Now, some of these packs will introduce a new card type, vehicles. The Innsmouth cycle will begin in November and is planned to feature a new pack each and every month. More information about this and other pending products from Fantasy Flight that they have planned are available in a video of their live stream, which you'll find a link to in this video's description down below. Knocking at number 9 is Everdell from Starling Games. Within the charming valley of Everdell, beneath the boughs of the towering trees, among the meandering streams and mossy hollows, a civilization of forest animals is thriving and expanding. And in this place, players will lead a group of critters in constructing buildings, meeting lively characters, and hosting various events, all on their way to fortify their collection of critters by amassing the most victory points. If you're a German or French speaker, and you've been waiting for localizations of the game to be printed in your language, well, unfortunately you're going to need to wait a little bit longer. These translations of the game, which have been in development, have reportedly been delayed until the 4th quarter of this year. Regarding this delay, a statement posted by Starling Games says, "We are taking extra time to make sure that all translations are correct and each translation presents the best version of the game. Once we have completely reviewed the physical samples, we'll give a much more detailed update on this on Kickstarter." To follow this story, keep an eye on the game's BoardGameGeek forums or its Kickstarter updates. Orbiting spot number 8 this month is The Crew, The Quest for Planet 9, a cooperative trick-taking game in which players set out as astronauts on a series of uncertain space adventures. The eventful journeys through space that unfold extend over the course of 50 different missions with unique goals and objectives for each one. Now, in order to meet the varied challenges that you will face, communication is going to be essential among the players. What's more, each mission slowly ratchets up the difficulty, and in the end, the team wins each of the game's missions only if every single player is successful in fulfilling their assigned tasks. In addition to winning the 2020 Kenner Spiel des Jahres award, The Crew also recently cracked the list of BoardGameGeek's top 100 highest ranked games. So, congratulations is in order to The Crew, and we'll see if its recent accolades impact its presence on the hotness list over the months to come as well. Resurfacing at number 7 this month is Spirit Island from Greater Than Games, a cooperative game in which players defend their island home from colonizing invaders. In the game, players are different spirits of the land, each with its own unique elemental powers. Then, using combinations of power cards that match a spirit's elemental affinities, you grant free bonus effects requiring forethought and planning to really use effectively. With Spirit Island's Jagged Earth expansion reportedly starting to ship to Kickstarter backers, the game's designer, R. Eric Roos, has taken the opportunity to post several Jagged Earth card previews on Spirit Island's forums. Now, these posts obscure the images and spoiler tags, just in case you don't want to know too much too soon. But if you want to know some, or all, of the details that he's willing to share, well, then you'll find a link to several of his card preview posts in this video's description. Enjoy responsibly. At number 6 this month is Brass Birmingham from Roxley, an economic strategy game sequel to what some would call Martin Wallace's 2007 masterpiece, Brass. Brass Birmingham tells the story of competing entrepreneurs during the Industrial Revolution while incorporating several new systems for selling, breweries, manufactured goods, market modifications, and more. For those who own both the deluxe edition of Brass Birmingham and a 3D printer, and are also looking for a way to better organize the game's bits and pieces, BoardGameGeek user David H. has posted a free set of files for printing a custom organizer designed specifically for this game. As usual, as everything else that's being mentioned in this episode, find a link to this article in this video's description. Branching at spot number 5 is Wingspan, designed by Elizabeth Hargrave and published by Stonemaier Games. Wingspan is a competitive, medium-weight, card-driven engine-building game in which you and your fellow players are bird enthusiasts, and researchers, and bird watchers, and ornithologists, and collectors, all working together, well actually not working together, working against each other actually, to discover and attract the best birds to your network of wildlife preserves. And lovers of custom upgrades will be happy to hear that Meeple Source recently launched a Kickstarter project for bird meeples for the game's upcoming Oceania expansion. In a recent newsletter, they mentioned, "We need your help to narrow down the selection to a maximum of 10 different bird designs. So please participate in a super quick survey picking your favorite bird designs." So if you'd like to follow their request and participate in this survey for their Kickstarter campaign for little bird meeples that are custom made just for the Oceania expansion, follow the link in this video's ever increasingly link-filled description. At number 4 this month is last month's number 1 game, Terraforming Mars, published by Stronghold Games, which takes place in the 2400s when mankind begins to terraform the planet Mars by initiating huge projects to raise the red planet's temperature, its oxygen level, and the ocean coverage until the environment is habitable and ready to start collecting haphazardly discarded cigarette butts. In the game, victory points are awarded not only for each player's contribution to terraforming, but also for advancing human infrastructure throughout the solar system and doing other commendable things like, I don't know, demonstrating the minimum sliver of self-control necessary to not haphazardly flick your discarded cigarette butts onto the ground. The creator of Terraforming Mars, Jacob Fryxelius, was recently interviewed by Cardboard Fire. The interview touches on topics such as the state of Terraforming Mars, the dice game, retaining balance in game design, and more topics. So find a link to this interview in this video's description for all your interview reading, link finding in the description needs. At number 3 this month is the first of 2 newcomers to the countdown, the upcoming Imperial Struggle from GMT Games. Imperial Struggle is a 2-player game depicting the 18th century rivalry between France and Britain. The game begins in 1697 as the two realms wait wearily for the King of Spain to name an heir, and then ends in 1789 when a new order brings down the Bastille. But the game is not merely about war. Both France and Britain must also build the foundations of colonial wealth, deal with the other nations of Europe, and compete for glory across the span of human endeavor. Imperial Struggle covers almost 100 years of history and 4 major wars. Yet, it's designed to remain relatively simple in its design. It aims to honor its spiritual ancestor, Twilight Struggle, by pushing further in the direction of simple rules and playable systems while maintaining a global scope and historical sweep. Now, during times of peace, players will build their economic interests and alliances and take advantage of historical events represented by event cards. And it all accumulates towards the end of the century. Will the British rule an empire on which the sun never sets, or will France become victorious? Nobody knows the answer to any of this, because I didn't bother to write an ending to this segment. Seriously, I just cut off right here in mid-sentence. Vacating its usual position at number 1 for a second month in a row is Gloomhaven, a game of Euro-inspired tactical combat in a persistent world of shifting motives by Cephalofair Games. In Gloomhaven, players must work together out of necessity to clear out menacing dungeons and forgotten ruins. And in the process, they'll enhance their abilities with experience in loot, discover new locations to explore and plunder, and expand an ever-branching story fueled by the decisions that they make. This is a game with a persistent and changing world that is ideally played over many game sessions. After a scenario, players will make decisions on what to do next, which will determine how the story continues, kind of like a a choose-your-own-adventure book. And playing through a scenario is a cooperative affair where players will fight against automated monsters using an innovative card system to determine the order of play and what the player does on their turn. And that is Gloomhaven, which I have spoken about a lot because it is continually in our #1 spot. But not this month. This month we turn now to the new game making its debut on our countdown and #1. And here we are. We've reached the #1 spot on this month's countdown, and it is not going to be Gloomhaven. I can't remember the last time that this has happened, so I am really excited. I mean, Gloomhaven, yes, is a great game, obviously, but I can't wait to talk about another game at #1, which this month is Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, from the makers of Gloomhaven Cephaloria Games. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion is a standalone game that takes place before the events of Gloomhaven. The game includes 4 new characters that can also be used in the original Gloomhaven game, and also includes 16 monster types, including 7 new standard monsters and 3 new bosses, and a new campaign with 25 scenarios that invite the heroes to investigate a case of mysterious disappearances within the city walls. Gloomhaven, Jaws of the Lion, is aimed at a more casual audience to get people into its gameplay more quickly. For example, instead of cardboard map tiles, the game is played on the scenario book itself, which features new artwork unique to each scenario. Learning the game has also been streamlined with a simplified rule set and 5 scenario tutorials that will ease new players into the experience. And there you go. There's the games that are sizzling at the top of the hotness list as of August 2020. Until next time, I've been Chaz Marler from Pair of Dice Paradise for BoardGameGeek. Take care.